what we did, how we did it. But before I do that, I do need to just give a bit of context to why we did what we did. So this activity or this competition fell into a wider sort of government relations lobbying campaign that we were running for Audi there. The issue with diesel cars, and this was a diesel car challenge, is that in Singapore there's a special tax applied to diesel cars. So in short, it makes it more expensive to own and run a diesel car than it does a regular petrol car. And this sort of harks back to the days when diesel cars and trucks were sort of spewing dirty smoke into the air and black soot and shit. Sorry, shit's a technical term for diesel smoke that comes out of cars. But nowadays, actually modern diesel cars and diesel fuel is actually very environmentally friendly. In fact, emissions from diesel cars are much lower than petrol cars in terms of their the damage they do to the environment. So the thing is, though, that laws and taxation laws in Singapore haven't kept pace with the technology, the diesel fuel technology. So what we were trying to do was to have the government review their laws and the special tax they apply to diesel cars, so that it wasn't punitive, so it made sense to be able to buy a diesel car. The reason we were trying to do this is because we wanted Audi to sell more diesel cars. And diesel is important to Audi because they're a technology leader when it comes to diesel. And in some countries, in fact, 80% of all new cars sold are actually, what have I done? Are diesel cars. So it was important for them. Now, so what we did was that we set up this competition where we invited media, so traditional journalists, and this is where I guess the competition I'm talking about might be slightly different to the others that we're going to discuss or that are going to be showcased today. Because this was only focused on a fairly small group of people, about 30 or so people. They were made up of traditional media, some bloggers, some online news sites, and mostly motoring riders. What we wanted them to do was to, in a sense, do the lobbying for us. And we created this competition where they would get a car, a diesel car, for 5 days with a tank full of diesel fuel that was sealed, and they had to drive the car as far as they could on that one tank of petrol. And then based on the distance that they travelled, the amount of fuel they used, they then get an efficiency rating. And based on the efficiency rating, we determined who did the best. So we had to create a platform, in fact, in order to do this, because Audi didn't have, in Singapore, a Facebook page. It didn't have a Twitter feed or a YouTube channel. But we wanted to see how we could still leverage, it's one of the buzzwords, but leverage social media platforms to get the word out. Because we also wanted to use this as an opportunity to do some public education. So the idea was that we'd create this website, which we did. The journalists would blog about their experiences with the car. They would upload photos, upload videos, comment about each other's performance. And that's essentially what we did. I'll just talk now, because I think I've probably been going a few minutes already. I'll just wind up, but just to talk briefly about some of the reasons I think this competition was successful. One of the key things is that we compelled the journalists and the people competing in it to go to the site. They had to go there, for example, to sign up for the competition. They had to go there to find out when they were getting the car. So the schedule of the car was there. So there was incentives, or there was, sorry, not incentives, but reasons why they had to go to the site. The idea being that, sorry, something I forgot to point out in the previous slide. The idea of them putting content and generating content on the site was that then they would use their own personal, say, Facebook page, Twitter feed, YouTube channels, and link back to this site, which is essentially what they did. And that's an important point to make. Another thing that I think made this successful was that we made it very easy for them to put content up on the site and also to make content. So we gave them video cameras, we gave them access to the site, they all had logins, and we had to call them offline and encourage them to put content on there, but they did, and it was fantastic. It also got coverage offline, which was great for drawing traffic to the site too, because they were traditional journalists that were taking part in this. Another thing that I think made it successful was just having a really good prize. So the winning journalist won sort of 2 tickets to Le Mans, the 24-hour Le Mans. So obviously there was a really good incentive, apart from the fact that they had fun doing this, there was a really good prize there for them too. And that's the other point I'd like to make is the fact that this was fun. And it's a really important point to make, that unless it's fun, people aren't going to want to take part in it. And because there is sort of competition, because there is a bit of a fraternity among some groups of media, they were quite excited about sort of challenging each other and you know, the results in terms of the traffic. We got lots of people coming to the site, lots of people, the journalists tweeting about their results and drawing people, sort of the public into the site to learn a bit more about Clean Diesel. Excuse me, and also just to see the results and how the various competitors were tracking. So that's the competition that we did with Audi in Singapore. Thank you.
Hi everyone, once again I'm Harold, and if you are tweeting, my handle is @Waffle, W-A-P-H-L-E. So today I'm going to try to address a question that a lot of people have when they ask me about social media competitions, which is, what do we do, you know, if we're just getting fans that never come back, never interact again? How many of you have liked a page just to enter a competition or a giveaway or something? And how many of you have never returned to that page ever again? I think that's exactly the same number. So, you know, that's a really big question that people have. And the other question that people often ask is, what do we do if we don't have resources to do it? We don't have significant resources. What do we do if our brand isn't huge? All these, you know, a lot of our panels today will be talking about some really big bang kind of giveaways, competitions. And that really works, and I think those results are fantastic. But a lot of people aren't, you know, don't have the luxury to do that kind of event. So I'm going to talk about a case we did with our client Huawei Device, and they're out of China. We run their global communications, and a big piece of that, from the ground up, is digital. So they came to us to talk about how we could advance their Facebook strategy. And when we started out in November, mid-November, they had 4,000 something fans. And once again, it's not just about the fans, but let me start by talking about this measurement of reach. Imperfect measurement, but still measurement. What we did is we ran a giveaway. It involved 2 phones, the Honor phone, which is a phone that they just released at the same time, which is also why we called the campaign Share with Honor, and a trip to Tokyo for 2. How many fans do you think we had after 4 weeks? What's your guess? 15,000 was our guess. We had 57,000 fans. And that's an increase of over 1,245%. But that's just the fan number, right? What do we do with those fans? It's easy to get fans if you have an attractive price and you have advertising to complement it, which is what Jonathan of Moonlight is going to talk about after this. I'm going to talk about some of the principles, not all of the principles, but some of the principles that are necessary to make sure that your giveaway, your competition is not about just the giveaway or the competition. It's about much more. So these 3 principles are align. That's alignment with your brand strategy and your business strategy. Tell a story, which is about telling a story that fits with your brand messaging and resonates with the consumer beyond just, I want to win something. And the last one is engagement, providing opportunities for people to interact with you around that story and for you to respond to them. And what we did was, because we were lining up with the launch of a smartphone that had a very long battery life, that was one of their selling points, we created this concept that just because you have all this power in your hand doesn't mean you should share everything, right? It's kind of like Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And we created this Share with Honor campaign, which is, obviously a pun on sharing responsibly and sharing with the device, the Honor. We created opportunities for people to tell us about their friends who are oversharing and examples in their life. And we created a funny video about someone who's oversharing in real life. And that video got about 10,000 views during that 4-week period. So what do you think the result of this was? What happened was that because we had created all these opportunities for people to engage with us throughout the competition, we created messaging that aligned with our brand and a story that resonated with them, and that was fun, like James mentioned. We saw, in a post-campaign